Today I'm going to be showing you how I assembled a 10-inch tablet for a course project in hardware. First thing I did was after I placed the screen into the slot and the glass and everything and clipped it in, I then placed the motherboard in and aligned it with the screw slots as I've got shown here and aligned it with the ribbons. Next I went ahead and installed the volume control, the buttons where that arrow is pointed. I've got the buttons in there fitted in the slot. If you don't do that beforehand, which I did make that mistake, you can't get them in. Next, I put on the securing clip that holds the motherboard down and keeps it from going all over the place. Next, after that, I installed the ribbon, which just includes the little white clip as shown. It clips up, and then you slide the ribbon in and clip it back down. Next, I did the second ribbon for the touch screen, and same process. Flip up the white clip, slide in the ribbon, align it up with the pins, and then snap it into place. The next point that I got to is installing the microphone, which that was pretty easy. Just put it in the hole, line the wires up to the slot that it has in it, and clip it in. Next, I screwed on the micro SD card slot and aligned it up with the motherboard, made sure everything was aligned and nothing was going to be out of place. Next, I went ahead and installed the camera. As you can see, I've got it color coded. Yellow is the ribbon, and then you've got your front facing camera, which is green, and then the blue arrow is for your rear facing camera. Next was soldering the volume control on, and that was kind of tricky. I'm pretty sure I may have messed it up. I got the side on the main board fine, but in the process I had melted the rubber, so there's a chance that it may have crossed over and actually shorted out. It didn't look like it, but there's still a chance. Next, I soldered in the micro SD card slot, which at first I did great. I thought it was easy as pie, and then once I got towards the end and I started getting a little bit more cramped, I started globbing up the solder, and I separated it as best as I could, but it wasn't pretty. Next, I went ahead and soldered on the speaker wires. The red arrows that I have designated are for the hot, the positive, and then the black that I have designated in the black arrows are the ground wires. That was extremely simple, seeing as the solder was already placed on the board, and all I had to do is just touch the wires to it, tap it, and it was there. Next, I put the heat sink over the CPUs. That was pretty straightforward. Just aligned it and gently smoothed it out. And this is where I ran into some trouble. I had initially soldered on the Wi-Fi antenna, but in the process of soldering on the battery, I accidentally got my hand stuck on it or something, and I actually broke the solder off of the antenna. Here is showing where I had to resolder the antenna, and this was actually right after I had resoldered the Wi-Fi antenna on, but the battery came on just fine. The only problem I had was in the process when I pulled off the Wi-Fi antenna, shown here, I also arced the battery and had a nice little spark show out of it. And after that was done, I went ahead and installed the camera glass. There's a small piece. If you have big hands, it's kind of difficult. Basically, just peel off the little sticker, place it in, and then you put the frame on the outside, and then on the other side, you just tap it with your solder to basically melt it in. Then I installed the speaker mesh, which is same thing. Pull the sticker, place them on. And then the speakers just clip in, but you have to be careful, because if not, you can actually pull the speaker wires out. That was something I had noticed. I didn't have that problem, but it was just something to be take account for. And then lastly, I snapped the back cover on and inserted the screws to keep the back cover into place. It took me a minute to realize that you could only put it in one direction. Once I figured that out, it was pretty simple. And the final verdict, when I tried to turn it on, I got nothing. So I thought when I shorted out the battery, maybe I could just plug it in and let it run a little while. That still didn't work. I tried powering it on, nothing. What I did realize, though, is that even when it wasn't plugged on and I tried to power it on, that the motherboard and the CPU in the area above the micro SD card slot was getting extremely hot. I kind of took it off, looked at it a little bit more, and I don't know what I did wrong. Everything was in place. All the soldering was within reason. Maybe the volume control and such shouldn't work, but all the other soldering was pretty dead on. So I don't know if maybe I messed up something, crossed something, dropped solder on something, shorted it out. I'm not 100% sure. But I do know that this was an extreme learning experience and that I definitely need to get better at soldering motherboards and such.